Do you find it difficult to focus on your customers and even your own employees as you're juggling numerous vendors? Do you have more meetings with vendors than you can count? And do their reports filled with technical jargon make you feel clueless and frustrated? Such is the story of Nathan. Being at a car dealership, he's concerned about his store's digital marketing presence and invests most of his time dealing with vendors to promote his business and gain more sales and market share. Nathan is busy handling reports and reviewing them, not knowing what is happening on the advertising front and about his true ROI. Poor Nathan is worried but can't figure out a solution until he found BZ Consultants Group. BZ Consultants stepped in and was able to take the digital marketing vendor burden off Nathan's plate, giving him peace of mind that the best interest of the dealer was always top of mind. Being an unbiased third party, BZ Consultants always made sure to relay the reports in easy, relatable, and actionable ways so that Nathan could best utilize the data. Now, Nathan can focus on what he really wanted, the customer experience and growth. By being your digital marketing business partner, BZ Consultants Group will remove the hassle trying to hold your vendors accountable and increase your productivity with the time you will now have armed with true data. Together, we make it possible because your success is our goal.
Welcome into Facts, Not Feelings, the Furniss Fast Lane. It is Friday. Peter, we've made it. We were talking offline that both of us are not going on a lot of sleep right now. So we're really, really excited to have Friday here and to get into the weekend. What do you say?
Oh, absolutely, Brooke. As I was mentioning earlier, it was the VIP night of the Canadian International Auto Show last night. Met so many people, was out so late, and then a long drive home. So this is a real pleasure just to take a couple minutes and sit back and talk.
As I tell my guests anytime on these live shows, I'm like, this should be the most mindless thing that you do all week. Like that's the goal, is just to have some fun, go for what the show that just dropped, but really just not have to exert a lot of brain cells, because Friday, our brains are gone. We don't want to be anything that's like really, really taxing here. We've got Jeff. Jeff, hello to you. Yes, right back at you, buddy. Did you meet Jeff by any chance? Have you met him in person, Peter?
Not in person, but I talk to Jeff almost daily
Nice.
because of his platform. I just love it. So he is one of the smartest guys that uses a telephone. So
Yes, it is pretty damn robust what he's got going on over there.
yeah,
And Jeff, you're in Colorado, if memory serves me right. I think
yeah.
he's in Colorado. Yeah. So it's, enjoy. I don't know about out there, but it is. We went from having like kind of sunny weather where we were at NADA and it was quite warm here, which was crazy. And I get back and I walked out this morning. I was like, and it's 20 degrees. We're back to that. It's not negative 35, so it could be worse. It could be worse.
Absolutely, Chicago.
Yeah, I love it. Gotta love it on that one. I mean, you were just at you said the Canadian International Auto Show. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah.
How was that?
So getting back, and we've all gone through this COVID nightmare of the automobile industry and all the auto shows being killed off and things like that. Well, the Canadian International Auto Show (CAIS) was actually canceled for 2 years, and they brought it back last year, and only I think 6 or 7 manufacturers decided to show up.
Oh
It
wow.
was it was it was great to see it again, but it was awful to be there because it was like going it was like going to, I don't know, it was just a war zone almost. It was just like, okay, well, you, instead of having a 50,000 square foot booth, you got a 200,000 square foot booth with the same amount of cars. It's like,
Yeah.
no, it doesn't work. But this year, everyone came back. It was
Oh,
almost
nice.
every single manufacturer was represented. They had the 2 full halls. It was like NADA size. It was just massive.
Wow.
And you're walking through the event. I was seeing people from Vancouver, from the States. I was with Owen Moon and Jason Harris and Katie Mayers, and it was just an absolute pleasure to be there and experience the show with them. And it was just great. And then it just brought joy that we're actually getting back to what it was prior to 2020.
Yes. Yeah. And when we're coming off of NADA as well. So you had that, you had NADA, and it's before we jump into the recap of our show that just dropped yesterday, which was an awesome show, let's be honest, it was pretty
Yep.
damn awesome.
Yeah.
Is that was I know you came on the show on a live show on one of the 30 freaking live streams that we did. But for those that maybe missed it, hey, there was a lot of podcasters going on at NADA. What were some of your takeaways from NADA?
Well, NADA, like I said before, it is the be all. It's the Super Bowl of our industry. It's you gotta be there. You gotta experience it, and you're finding down the little hallways the best new platforms. You don't have to go see Cox, or you don't have to go see CDK or Reynolds or any of the big guys, because you can experience them at any time. You just pick up the phone. But
Mhm.
it's the little guys that you don't know about, and you're walking down and you're seeing this new lot program, or this new form of communication through texting that no one's used yet. Or, for example, they're like spreadsheet companies that can actually consolidate your spreadsheets,
Mhm.
and it's amazing on what you can find, the little tidbits. And I caught about 10 to 12 of them that are in my book and are going to be massively involved in my dealer groups.
That's awesome. And it is. And so often you get caught in there's the one hall because that's where all the bright lights are. When in fact, if you go down to the other hall, there's so many little, I won't even say little, because if you got a booth there, you've got to be making enough money to have a booth there. Like, let's be honest.
Yep.
So Joshua, hello to you. Also, Larry, hello to you. I apologize. I didn't get these brains not working so well right now. We've got Larry coming in here, a mutual friend, which we just love to death.
Yep.
Uh, not sure this person is, but hello to you as well. I sometimes for some reason it just comes through up as LinkedIn. I don't know why it does that. But what I like to do as well as that, I mean, this is going back to a digital dealer, and I happened to pass a booth, and I was like, I've never heard of that company, but I didn't really think anything of it. Kind of saw what they were doing. It's like, that's kind of cool. Fast forward about a year later, and I get introduced to them again, and it was just, they're just up and coming, and obviously doing pretty well for themselves, and it's kind of it's really cool to see, like, oh, I did see you there, now full circle here. And Joshua, yeah, it's not, we're still working on getting the voice back 100%. It's not 100% there, but it doesn't sound like Cookie Monster anymore. So that is the most impressive thing we can go with right now. But it is, I mean, making sure you hit all of those,
Yeah.
the up and coming ones, which is really, really big. The other thing, like we went over, I asked every single person as well, like, hey, what's your one piece of advice for someone that's never been to NAD or is looking to go, hasn't been in a while? And I'm going to go back to you on this. I know you answered it, but what was one of that
So,
takeaway of, like, what I need to do beforehand?
okay, so there's two things. One is use the app, because if you don't use your app, you're going to be running from one place to the other to the other. The app will actually give you a footpath that eliminates the time moving through it. So that's the first thing. The app also advises people that you're going to come see them so that they're prepared
Mhm.
to meet with you. The other thing that you have to realize about NADA is only 50% of the business happens in that building. The other
Amen.
50% of the business happens at all the hospitality events, the rooms, this, that, whatever, breakfast meetings, things like that. You have to be prepared to be working 18, 20 hours
Yeah.
a day if you're going to maximize your opportunities in Vegas. That
Amen.
is hands down is. And the last thing is remain hydrated, because it's the
Yeah.
driest place in the world. And
Yes.
and we come back with the scratchy voices, as Josh put it, the frog voice.
Yes.
And it takes weeks for it to go away.
Yeah, we're going on 2 weeks over here. So
Yeah.
no, it's so true. And I think that too often, I believe, because I've seen it firsthand going to as many conferences as I attend, is that we think it's all in that building when in fact there is so much that happens outside that building. If you're not attending, am I saying to go, party until 3 a.m.? No, but I'm saying to network, because so much of that, I mean, I personally only spent, I think, 2 or 3 hours in the hall. That was it. Everything else was networking at other stages, whether it's in this, the dealer funnel, dealer world suite, wherever it may be. But there's
Yeah.
so much that takes place during all of that. So I just want to once again give a huge shout out to Dealer World and Dealer Funnel for hosting not only the happy hour along with Excel and Stella, but having a place to do the podcast. And it was, as you know, just a gorgeous scenery as you're looking over and seeing the sphere.
Well,
It was absolutely amazing.
What did we do all the time on your podcast?
Which part?
we kept on
Oh
looking at
yeah, yeah. I kept looking. I was like, I don't mind me if we like our eyes go off camera because it was just so cool to see all that.
it was
And once we got, especially once we got all the technical glitches out of the way. So by the time you came on board, we were good to go. So
it was awesome.
it was
It was
fun. We had a
awesome.
lot of fun. And thank you to all that participated, but they were a part of it. I know that things come up and, hey, we're getting pulled in 15 directions. Totally understand it. So if I have not responded back to you, it's not that I'm mad at you. I just came back to about a gazillion different messages. So during that Saturday, if anybody's texting me, I was like, I'm not going to get to you, not going to get to you at all. But so last week, we meant to have, we're going to have Greg Ash on the show, had some technical issues. The joys, it just happens when you go live sometimes.
Yep.
And so he's going to come back on the show on Monday at noon, and we're going to recap that show. So that Friday, we won't have a show just because you guys got enough stuff going on. I mean, as much as I love talking to you all, we're going to do it on Monday, and then Friday, take off Friday. So with that, Peter, let's jump into this a little bit. So we talked all about more or less, I don't say future proofing, but just like post-COVID, whether it's the learning, whether it's teaching, whether it's EV. I mean, we talked on so many different things, but navigating post-COVID retail. What was one of your main takeaways from the show that dropped yesterday?
So the biggest thing is that in navigating moving forward was that dealers remain fearful, and that dealers operate in fear, and because they moved in a direction that they never did before to digital retailing because of COVID, because of fear of loss, and now they're back into that same position again. And how do we help them mitigate through that? And it's a challenge because they operate, and this is how we've always done it, and they're back in their comfort zone. And when anyone gets in their comfort zone, they don't like moving. They move at the space of a glacier. You try, just ask my wife getting me out of the TV chair when the game's on. I ain't going nowhere. And that's the same way as a dealer right now, because they've moved back to what they believe worked, and we got to change that, and by bringing all kinds of different things.
Yes, agreed. And even like we talked about this a little bit as well, is that if someone is just new to the industry and they came in 2020, and then that's really what they believe, that someone's just going to come and stroke a check. Like that's what they believe, because that's what happened. So you can't fault them for that. That being said, it's like, okay, what are we doing during that time period to invest in our people, invest in the leadership, invest in training the people? Because at some point that gravy train's going to run out. And that's kind of what's happened now. Right. So now we're trying to get back. And people say get back to basics. And I always think, okay, if that's basics, why did we get away from it? Like if it was that basic, like that one, I can't wrap my head around, but you hear that phrase so often over and over and over. Oh, get back to basics, get back to basics. Yeah.
The back to basics is a fallacy. It's a real fallacy. We have to go to the foundational core of what is right. That's it. Mm-hmm. It's not back to basics. The back to basics is just a term that we're filling mouths with. That's it. We got call. You got to do your calls. You got to do this. You got to do. We also, and I mentioned it a few times on the podcast, was that we operate this business as the car lot, not as a business. And if we looked at it as businesses and we went to business basics, this whole industry would be completely different. Completely different. And that's one of the things that I'm looking at is foundational changes and real true definitions of optimum opportunities in this business. And there's so many. And it's funny because I'm part of the human side of AI Clubhouse room as a founder, and they brought me in, and I know this much about AI, but I can speak car, and that's the whole thing. And I look at AI as actual intelligence, and with the actual intelligence, using that to augment with the interaction of the artificial intelligence, we can drive this business so much further.
Yeah, and we definitely talked about it as well. I mean, and I know we've talked about a lot on this show, so I don't want to go too deep into this just because I don't want to be too redundant. But having that, there was a release that happened yesterday on OpenAI where it is insane. I don't know if you saw this, but the ability to create video, it's
Yeah.
mind blowing. It's mind blowing that it got released yesterday. But even with that, I mean, if you don't have the right prompt and then you yell at the AI because it didn't do its job, well, no, that's on you. Or I'm not checking
Yeah.
the work or whatever. I mean, when I go through and I use AI more than I probably don't in a day. And it happened, ChatGPT 4 went down. I think I had an outage. I think it was yesterday, the day before. And I go, oh my gosh, like, I don't remember how to, not that I can't do it, but once again, now I'm becoming reliant on it to do what these mundane tasks or automations that I would get done anyways. And so when it's not working, all hell breaks loose. So there's so much of this having both, like you said, the human side of AI. The other part I want to touch on that you brought up, and I know that I mentioned this yesterday in my walk and talk, that you hear digital retailing and there's almost like this recoil effect of like, bah, I hate it. We only had to do it because the OEM forced it to, the pandemic forced it to, and now we're not going to use it anymore. And it's just a lead generator. Well, it's not a lead generator. That may be a portion of what it's doing, but if you're only seen as a lead generator, you've way missed the boat and missed the mark on what it is and how you're seeing. I mean, I have not only my own clients, but I have obviously a pretty good reach of people to know what is happening and how people are almost, they're just completely dismissing it and saying, we're not even going to, we'll put it on the website, but we're going to use call for price. Well, after July 30th, you can't do that anymore. So, or having 2 digital retailing tools on their site. So I'll turn this over to you just a little bit on how this digital retailing is, while it's not dead, it's just how it's being utilized. And you're seeing more and more dealerships just say, wash their hands of it. They don't want any part of it.
Well, first of all, I would lead to digital retailing, the perception. What is it? If you ask 5 different people, you're going to get 5 different answers. And especially if you ask anybody on the vendor side, they'll give you one side. You ask a dealer, lead generation, websites. That's it. That's their 2 answers for digital retailing. When actually it's anything that uses technology for a form of communication. That's it. So if you're texting your client because their brakes are done, that's digital retailing. If you're responding to a review on social media, that's digital retailing. And we have to understand that we don't do it. We don't do it in the car business. We are the worst people in any industry out there for digital retailing. And the other side of it is the omni-channel retailing. That is horrific as well. So we have to, that's going to be the focus moving forward. And the catalyst to that is Amazon coming in. And Amazon's going to force the dealers to pull up their pants and say, hey, we got to get in this game. Otherwise, we're just going to lose it. And that's what's going to happen.
And it'll be interesting to see which of the Hyundai dealerships jump on board with Amazon. And there's so many misconceptions on what Amazon is doing. Like, people still believe that it's some box is going to show up with a car in front of it. Like, it's not. It's more like a third party site that is more, because it's the Amazon name, it's going to be trusted more, and just adding almost like another third party provider. I mean, can you imagine? And shout out to Cognition right now, is that you couple your Hyundai and Amazon listings with Amazon advertising. I mean, that's gold. I'm just gonna say it's gold. It's amazing what that company does. So a huge shout out to them.
Like you look at that, you look at A to Z building the platform for the digital retailing for Amazon. You look at all these opportunities that are out there that dealers are missing because it's like me. I hate cauliflower. Have I ever had cauliflower? No, I just can't. It looks like bones to me, so I won't eat cauliflower. But that's the mentality that dealerships have on DR, and they hate it, and they don't even understand it. And if they did, they would take every opportunity because it gives them unbelievable intelligence and conversion. You look at Jeff's company, and you see what he can extrapolate from a telephone call, and it's just incredible. And people just don't realize they're spending $10,000 on lead generation, but they won't take 10 opportunities at $1,000 that'll give them 10 times the response and the ROI on the lead generation.
Yeah,
So
and if you look at digital retail, I mean, there's so many stats out there, and we could just spew stats at this point. When you give the transparency to customers, it's the same thing with Amazon. Like everything's there. You're not going to go to Amazon and they're going to be like, you know what, you need to call for a price. You know what? Let me see if I talk to my manager, I can get you a lower price. Like, no, the price is the price. It's like it's that simple. Like this is your price, and you're paying for that convenience. So the fact that I don't have to sit in a dealership for 3 to 7 hours and I can do all my stuff online as much as I can based on state laws, and then be able to now. There's going to be someone that's like, yeah, well, no one goes full circle. Well, that's the point. Like, it's to meet the customer exactly where they are. So the customer wants to just go through some of it. The customer wants to go through all of it. The majority aren't going to go all the way through. Like, that's just how it is. I mean, that's the second biggest. Am I going to buy a house just by looking at it virtually? No, I'm going to go actually touch and feel, and I want to look at it. So it's the same concept that all of the second biggest purchase in your life is going, you still want to get behind the wheel. Like, is there a portion? Yeah, there's definitely a portion. That's why, well, Carvana is still kind of around, and Vroom just went under. But in general, they also had other things going on of why it wasn't a dealership. It's a big difference, and there's no service follow-up afterwards.
exactly. So if you look at it and you say, and the number one excuse I hear from dealerships or pushback is, oh, my demographic of customer doesn't buy online. Okay, all right. Well, look at David Spizak, one of the most recognized people in our industry. He just bought his new Mercedes end to end online and posted about it, and he bypassed 3 dealerships to get to the dealership that was going to sell it to him online. Went right by them. Now, if that's a prime case to understand the importance of actually having a digital retailing system in place. And but again, back to it. Here's another one. Go to an airport. If you're at the airport, are you going to go to the airport without a ticket? No, you're going to buy the ticket online. You're never going to go to the airport waiting and try to negotiate for a ticket at the counter when you're going to fly out that day. But that's what we want to do in the automobile industry.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
And to go on the things that have changed or things that are different, I guess I'll go different. We also touched on EV, which is always a hot topic for they're very polarizing. There's no like in between. Hey, I'm kind of okay with it. It's either I hate it, it's the worst thing ever, the government's forcing us to do this, it is god awful, or I love it. It's great. It's fantastic. I've yet to find someone that's kind of just like in the middle. I say, well, I guess kind of me a little bit because I'm like, hey, I see the pros of it, I see the cons of it. Is it the end all be all? No, because you got to figure out what the consumer wants. But we talked a lot about just the EV revolution and dealership adaptation. So I'm gonna let you run with that one.
Okay. So like you, I'm EV friendly. I'm not EV positive and I'm not EV negative. I'm EV friendly. So we as dealers, and I had a conversation with a dealer just recently in a non-EV state, and he turned around and said that why does he have to invest his time and effort for less than 2% of his sales? And I said, because it's going to grow. It's going to grow. It's going to grow. It might max out at 10, but would you take 10% of your revenue and throw it out the window just because you didn't like it? No, not at all. So let's invest in it because it is a situation that it's not just because the governments are mandating it. That will change. We know that's going to change. It's just that's a temporary measure right now. It's going to change to another administration will change it, and another administration will change it. So it's that's fluid. But we're getting a group of individuals that like driving these cars, and they will continue to drive these cars. And then those cars will become pre-owned cars, and those people will buy, and it'll increase in the opportunity out there for dealers. So don't push it away. Learn how to do it. Get people, and I know you're involved with BEV, everything with John Ellis and Duran Cage and Larry. Get out there and get a consultant in there to teach you how to present it to your clients. Because if 9 out of 10 times people don't know anything at a dealership, whether it's in the sales or in the service, they don't know a single thing. So it's changing that dimension that we can actually.
Okay, Jeff, that's awesome. Hold up. For those that are just now joining, we're asking what are your thoughts on EVs, and Jeff pops in here. EVs are current like Splenda. You've got to take some on the table, even though not many people prefer it. But it's true, man. That's like a perfect analogy, Jeff. I might have to use that later on, but that's so true.
I will use that, and I'm gonna fire that off to our good friend John Ellis because that.
I don't know that John's gonna like that one, but yes.
Well, we have that. Water and oil relationship with our mentalities, and like I've said, I've had 5 Teslas.
Yeah.
And,
Again,
and
you're one of the ones that have went from a Tesla and then went away from the Tesla. That doesn't happen too often.
yeah, but it was the reasoning on my driving habits. But
Yeah.
I still
Yep.
have a plug-in hybrid, and it's just you have to understand your client. You have to
Mhm.
understand your customer. If you don't understand your customer, you're providing a disservice to your customer. Whether they're buying an ICE, a PHEV, or all in EV, it
Yeah.
doesn't really matter. You have to know what your client wants and to assist them, and that's the experience thing that we are missing. And on this morning on David Long's Clubhouse call, Katie Mayers was a special guest, and she talked about experience and the perception of experience. The first thing was that the dealers think they have a 97% experience level. The actual is a 7% experience level.
Yeah.
And the delta is massive. So we have to recreate that experience for our customers to maintain retention, because we're losing 70% of the people who buy cars from us right out as soon as they drive off the lot. 70% of them aren't coming back.
Well, that's where Steven Apicella would jump in and be like, you got to connect the disconnected. Like
Yeah.
do we want just that one-time purchase, or do we want lifetime purchases from the parent to the kids, the grandkids, the great grand? Like that's what you want. But the only way you're going to do that is to continue to have that, I'll say experience, but it's just being a human being. Like, yes, do we all have those friends that we talk to once a year and you just pick up where you left off? Yeah, you've got those, but understand what it took to get to that spot where you could have that. You're so comfortable with each other that you can have, hey, we'll just check in once a year and pick up where we left, or every 6 months. But in general, you have to do so much to build up that relationship and that trust that I can reach out to this person and I know that they're going to have my back. I'm not going to get screwed over. I know it's a business. You've got to make profit. Profit's not a dirty word, but all that to be like, okay, I sell a car and I'm never going to talk to you again, or I'm going to talk to you again when your lease is up, or when I need something from you, that's when I'm going to reach out like that. Would we
Yeah.
ever want to be in a friendship like that? No, we wouldn't. We'd never want to be in a
No,
relationship.
it's a one-way relationship, and because the people that are in the business, because the average tenure of a salesperson in the business right now, NADA stats is 1.7 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and
That's not good. In case you're wondering, it's not good.
So that's the tenure at a dealership. So you're not even going to get to see the person that you actually bought the car off again. So why is that? Because we're not looking at it as a relationship model. We're looking at it as transactional.
Transactional. Yeah.
Carl Sewell said it best. The average customer is worth 30 deals.
Yep.
If you treat them right, 30 deals. So extrapolate that out financially and look at relationship management and retention management.
And to your point, like we go to a Chick-fil-A and we all talk about the Chick-fil-A experience or the Apple experience. Do you ever see the same person at Chick-fil-A or Apple? You might, but they have chosen to say, this is our structure. This is our culture, and not a culture buzzword, but this is actually, if you don't fit this model, round peg, square hole, that's fine. You don't need to be a part of this, but you've got to fit into this, because when you have that incredible system and it's just a well-oiled machine, you just place the other person on there. Once they've been trained appropriately and you continue to train them, then they're able to just be like, okay, we're good to go. And Roberto's coming up here and said, I believe it all depends on the charging infrastructure and above all the culture regarding how customers like us can have more engagement with this new era of EVs. And most important, the after sale support. Yes.
Exactly.
Chris Hawaii was on a couple months, maybe a month ago or so. We were talking, we were laughing, and I actually got multiple messages saying this can't really be happening. And it was about how EV customers are getting their oil change, coming for your 3,000 mile oil change. Now, do I understand that the engine needs, not, what I'm talking about? Like there's certain things that have to have oil in them, but in general,
Yep.
it's just, hey, we're going to put you in the same classification as every other vehicle. Like, what the hell are you doing? Like, no, stop doing that. So, Roberto, you bring up a very, very good point here. And we've got who's ready for hydrogen? Well, BMW has been ready for hydrogen for many years.
Yeah, yeah, and Toyota.
Yep,
So,
they're both doing it. But
but
that's the other
again,
thing. Like people think it's so new, and it's like this has been around for a while.
yeah. So if you look at it and you talk about the after sales experience once you purchase, and they always say, well, sales sells the first one, service sells the next one. Well, no, it's a collective team effort, and you if you look at the sales pyramid, at the very bottom is the peddler, and that's what most people are in this business right now. They're just peddling product. And then at the top of the pyramid is the trusted advisor. And with time, effort, and experience, you get to that level. And that's when you have that relationship, that true relationship model with your customer that you can actually magnify a long-term customer value out of. Like it, and the reason why I got into the business is the dealership that I had that with failed miserably, absolutely failed miserably. They lost millions of dollars in profitability based
Mhm.
on a stupidity move. And so I got back in the business. But it's like you say, you go into a service bay and they don't. You talk about your warranty, having to carry your
Mm.
warranty with you all the time
All
because
the
they
time.
don't have the data to tell what's covered and what's not covered.
Or,
Here,
or you bought something
yeah,
like I had one in particular that I had purchased it and they had no record of it whatsoever. I go, so I just paid because I wanted to. I mean, I like you guys, but I don't think I'm going to throw that money down just because of charity cases here. So yeah, I
exactly.
mean, it's the technology has definitely got to meet up, and I don't. I hope at some point it will, but it usually by the technology comes out, it's like 10 years behind the times, and then we're going to try to catch up a little bit more. So yeah. Okay. What else? Are we missing anything here, Peter? What else? What other takeaways should we talk about?
Well, basically the whole thing is with what is moving forward is really and I look at it, and one of the things I employ is the Aries principle, which is assessment, resources, implementation, execution, success. And
Love it.
if we can go through that principle and actually dive down into those principles, we can drive this business to a new frontier. And it's hydrogen at a water show. Great.
Debuted. So Jeff saying Yamaha also debuted a hydrogen outboard prototype on the Miami boat show yesterday. Go Hydro. Yeah, I mean, I think that more and more uh what alternatives are going to come out
Oh,
because there's
absolutely.
I mean we need them. And to whoever said it was, I think it was Jeff, I think it was you, I don't know who said it. Someone said it before, just the infrastructure, like we'll get there. And
Yep.
you had the good example of Henry Ford and that example.
Yeah.
But
The
go ahead.
only difference between gas and electric is gas we can pick up and carry. Electric we have to plug in.
Yeah.
But it's going to come, and you're going to have high speed capabilities. I was in the battery industry for a long time for EVs, and it's coming. There's so many different chemistries that we're going to see cycle rates on batteries that are 5 minutes,
Mhm.
which is the same time that you're pumping gas.
Well, even like I'll go. So for those who've been fun this thus far, know that I love my Samsung Galaxy, and I made the switch to the entire Apple ecosystem a couple months back. And the one thing there's a couple things I missed, but overall it's been a good transition. But the ability that the Samsung would charge so quickly. Now, while the Apple still has a fast charge, it's nothing like the quick charge of a Samsung. That is something that if we can do that on a phone, and we know a Tesla is more or less an iPhone on wheels, it'll
Yep.
get to that point. I don't know when. I'm not going to try to guess when, but you're slowly seeing also why all of the majority of OEMs are going over to a Tesla charging because it's just so much better. So it is going to improve and not be. It'll just improve. We'll leave it at that.
There's all kinds of reasonings for everything that happens in EV, and but the fact is it is going to improve, as you said. Porsche just brought out their new Taycan. and that thing
Mhm.
charges in like 15 minutes, and
Yeah, it's pretty.
it's absolutely incredible on how fast it charges, and the degradation of the battery is near minimal, based on temperature. So being in Chicago and not having all those,
Yeah, well, the whole temperature thing is a little bit of a sore spot out here in Chicago. We had
yeah,
dead robots out here,
yeah,
so
all those things sitting around in parking lots and being on the back of flatbeds everywhere.
yes.
You don't see that, and that's the new generation that's coming out. Like, we have to look at it. Is an iPhone 3 and an iPhone 15 the same?
Oh, not even
No,
close. No.
no. So, and it's only been what, 15 years, something like that.
Yeah.
So look at how many different versions have come out. How many different renditions? Look at any technology. Look at your TVs. Look,
Oh, man, do you remember the TVs that were like we had a TV that was broken in one of our moves, but it was like $7,000. That same TV, the same graded TV is like maybe $2,000 now. It's just it's improving so quickly that I
yeah.
mean, even the TVs we bought 5 years ago, I'm like, that TV now is like $500. I'm like, that was like $3,000. I was like, this is crazy.
Well, just think about it. They're bringing out bendable frame TVs
Yep.
so that you can bend the TV to watch it.
Yeah.
It's insane. Look at the Sphere. Like
Oh God.
think about
That
what.
technology is insane.
Let's look at the vision. Okay, the vision that one person had. I'm gonna build this building, and it's gonna have this, and this in it, and it's never been done before.
Yeah.
And there it is. And everybody who everybody who sees it stops and gawks at it because it is that much of a change. It's revolutionary, and
Yeah.
that's what's going to happen in our business.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed, agreed. All right. Anything else we missed here, Peter?
No, I think we basically caught everything, and talked about every part of the NADA in our call. And I can't thank you enough for having me on the show. As I've said many times, it's a defining moment in my career to be on your show, and I'm very grateful.
I sincerely appreciate that. Is you've said it a couple times. I still have to like. It's just a very humbling statement for me to make. Is that yeah. I just thank you here. Before we get out here, TVs. Gina paid $3,000 for our TV, and it's exactly that's what I'm saying. Our $3,000 TV is like $500 now. Yeah, it's crazy, absolutely crazy. And you can actually get bigger TV. I actually had the very first TV, first ever smart TV, flat screen TV I ever purchased. It was like 2000. I don't know. It's when Vizio was still pretty good. That's what I
Yeah,
got. So it's probably like 2009, 2008. And I still have it. The thing's still somehow still working. It's very outdated, but we've got like 10 TVs in the house. So
yeah.
that one just goes in the guest room. So whoever stays there, I apologize. You're getting the Vizio. But and Robbie, great show. You both are amazing. Thanks so much, Robbie.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you.
you. And everyone, I hope that you're recovering from NADA. I hope that there's this the aftermath of like trying to, whether you're on the dealer side, whether you're on the vendor partner side, whatever it might be, just to try to just decompress from everything. I'm hope that your voices are coming back. That's a big one for sure. And like I said, next week we won't have a show on Friday, but we're gonna have it on Monday. So here in like 2-3 days, depending on how you're looking at it, with our good friend Greg Ash from M1
Yes.
Data, because that was definitely a little bit of issue last week.
Yeah.
And Jeff, you bring up a good point on Apple Vision. It's just so much money to throw down. And so I do see it going lower. Like, yes, Apple products are always more because they're so damn good. But I don't know. But I don't think that it's going to stay at $1,200. I've got a VR set over here that I think was $200-$300. And then you've got the new Meta VR, which is around this. I think it's around the same price. So I think that I would agree that it's going to go down at some point. I would think in price there. But like I said, we got Monday, we've got Greg on the show at noon. Don't miss that show. I know
Absolutely.
it's a president's holiday show, we'll call it there. And Peter, once again, just thank you so much for being a part of this river.
My pleasure. And again, it's awesome to be involved with the show as a guest, as a call in, as a type in, everything. So I thank you once again, and for us to get out there and really do change management to this business.
Amen. And a huge shout out also to Ian and Jeff from the Auto Hub show. Because if it wasn't for them, you and I wouldn't know each other. Larry and I wouldn't know each other. I mean, there's so many connections have been made with that show. Just so thank you so much for them. I sincerely appreciate that. We got Joshua saying it won't change. They will make a vision 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, but are they going to continue? Josh, while you're on here, are they going to keep the price? Is the question. Like at some point, I
It
would
always
think.
goes up, Brooke. It goes up.
Well,
It never goes down with Apple.
that is true. You all bring a very good point there. So I could be wrong. It's very possible. It wouldn't be the first or the last time here. And David is saying, thank you both. Thank you so much to you, David. I super, super appreciate it. Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Like I see both sides here. So I'm not going to put money down on either. That there's no over and under. I'm just going to go stalemate on that one. So we're going to do.
Well, that's a safe bet with Apple too. So
Yes, right. All right, everyone, we're going to get out of here. And I hope everyone has a great, like I said, you're recovering from everything. You have a great Friday. And as always, you all know the drill at this point. Find a way to serve today. Find a way to just be the joy in someone's life, whether that's opening a car door, maybe it's a kind smile. Hey, maybe it's bringing someone that's still struggling from NADA some chicken soup, noodle soup, doing something that just makes someone's life a little bit better today. And that everyone, we'll see everyone next week on Monday, not on Friday, on Monday with Gregory Ash. And everyone have a great weekend. We'll talk to everyone soon.